10-year note yields end the session unchanged, hanging right around 408. But not after a wild day. We saw a much stronger than expected non-farm payroll number come in. However, we saw revisions to last month's number come in on the opposite side, so they offset each other. Actually saw yields trade down all the way to 403, a new low of this move since putting in the high of 434 back on February 23rd, but did see the market recoup, get back to 408 to end the week, near unchanged on the session. However, we did see the market settle much lower from last Friday, settled by about 9.5 basis points. So ultimately, we heard from the Fed chair this week. He gave his semi-annual testimony. It was received relatively dovish, which helped push yields lower. Today's first initial knee-jerk, stronger than expected non-farm payroll number was trumped by the last month's revisions, pushing yields lower. But again, ending the day at 408, unchanged on the session, but down on the week. Now, what does this mean for volatility? Well, check out that CVOL index over at cmegroup.com, and you will see the volatility was lower today. After getting through those main data points, the Powell testimony and non-farm payroll, market kind of gives a sigh of relief. Then we saw yields move lower, volatility moves lower with yields. Ultimately, we saw volatility a bit bid coming into this week, given the fact that we had so much news. And then after the fact, the air was let out of the balloon and volatility goes down as yields were down. So ends lower on the week after a couple of big events. Lastly, let's talk about what we have next week. Next week, we don't get much time to rest. We have some key inflation data. We get CPI and PPI next week, as well as retail sales. Now, we also get 3 auctions. We get a 3, a 10, and a 30-year auction. And will be interesting to note that there will be no Fed speakers, as the Fed will enter into its blackout period ahead of the March 20th FOMC meeting. So after a week that saw yields moving lower, they recouped some, got back to 408 to end the day unchanged, end the week lower, ahead of next week's key inflation via CPI and PPI, as well as retail sales and Treasury auctions.